So hi everyone, today we're going to develop another solutions for another type of problem that we face today. And what's the problem is the antibiotic resistant that we're facing. But then so obviously what I defend is that even if you don't have like a technical degree in solving this particular problem and other ones, you still by using methodology can structure ways, methodologies. So ways to approach the problem without you go technically so far the field. But then obviously to develop you need to study a bit more. But see so how just with a little of effort you can already look for solutions just by knowing them applied in the way that they can create ways to act so towards that problems. But then so with all this talk, what's gonna be the problem that we're gonna face, antibiotic resistance, we need to understand a bit better so about that antibiotic resistance and the impact that it has in our life. So first, we have 1.3 million deaths a year from drug-resistant infections. A first statement that how it's something that's not positive to have it. Second, we have economic cost, around 100 trillion by 2050 in lost productivity, more type of wealth care that you get by so this being something true. After that, we have I think drivers overuses in farming. It's like 70% of antibiotics, expired drug pipelines, and misdiagnosis. But then so we need to start looking for the mental models and solutions that can so be helpful towards solving the problem. And now we have understood the effects, what is our like the drivers, but then so we need to start looking for solutions. And then so what it has and what it comes. Tragedy of commons, the overuse of a shared resource. The idea is that antibiotics are the global commons and are tend to be overused by individuals because nobody of them own the right to treat well and use well antibiotics. And then so they're not used efficiently. And so it tends to be destroyed for all because everyone is using a shared resource and we don't treat the same thing as something that's mine, declared, and other thing that's not mine. So I treat them differently. It's something that's true. And then so we start looking for fixes now that we understand the presence and the existence of tragedy of commons. But then so what are like the fixes? Global antibiotic quotas. So the Norway's model caps livestock antibiotics at 5 milligrams kilograms versus, for example, the USA that makes it in 200 milligrams kilogram, 2 milligrams to 2 kilogram. Estimates of the resistance decreased by 60%. And we have the personal antibiotic credits. The Sweden's app tracks prescriptions. Exceed limits make them so low assessed. Second, another one to look, core effect. Solutions tend to backfire. So misguided fixes worsen resistance. Example, factory farms using antibiotics as growth promoters. What all is the fix for that specific pattern that we see that happens in reality? Ban preventive antibiotics. The European Union outlawed routine farm uses, make the resistant infections decrease 35%. And we have to tax the big livestock. Denmark taxes meat producers per antibiotic dose as made the funds, and this so makes as well these funds so to fund new drug research and development in the stages that they are in research and development. That's one of the most resource consumers in terms of money. Three, anti-fragility. Grow stronger through stress. It's important to knowing it and apply it in the creation of solutions. So use resistance to your advantage. But then, so what's the application of knowing this? We have the phage therapy. The George Cecilia Institute deploys viruses that evolve to kill superbugs, has made 85%. Then we have the CRISPR Gen scissors. It eats bacteria to self-destruct, as something that was tested in MIT labs against MRSA. 4. Jevons paradox, efficiency breeds excess. What's the idea here is that cheap diagnostics leads to over-testing or over-treatment. But then so how to fix that? We have the artificial intelligence triage, and we have an example in Hindi. The Hindi is nearby, scan favors with thermal imaging, as main cuts unnecessary antibiotic prescriptions by 50%. And we have penalty prescriptions. The UK finds doctors overprescribe, as makes so the misuse fall 40%. Five, another one to look is the precautionary principle, so avoid the reversible harm, whose idea is that act before resistance becomes unstoppable. But then, so how to fix that by knowing this? We have the global resistance surveillance, we have the Kenyans Fleming Fund that maps outbreaks in real time as makes so blocks superbug spread. And we have the last resort logs, bans on coasting, last line antibiotic in farming, as makes so preserved human use. And a last one that I would like to talk is the Lindy effect. So that old solutions tends to beat a lot of times the new hype. So the idea is that time-tested remedies, old life, trendy fixes. And so what's the application of that? Honey-based wound care, rediscovered and tried Egyptian methods, beat MRSA in 70% of the cases, and with something that's proved by Oxford study, and herbal synergies like Chinese medicines, Artemisia's more modern drugs cut malaria resistant. And this was something that it's used in Vietnam. So integrated solutions, I think everyone tends to understand. We can have a bit more of some names, so structured in a better way. For example, decentralized drug discovery, crowdsourced artificial intelligence. Examples we have the MIHITs, deep learning for antibiotics let scientists globally hunt new drugs. As made so 23 candidates just found just in 2023. Can have like resistance busting market like superbug bounce. Investors fund phage therapy startups. It made some payouts tied to life saved. And this was something that was piloted in Germany. And you can have as well farm to pharma pipelines. Tax big meat profits to fund antibiotic research and development. It was something that's made Australia raise 2 billion so to provide for this antibiotic research and development. So why this works? We have examples. We have in Netherlands that has slashed farm antibiotics 70%, and so the resistant infections in humans decrease 50%. We have the Georgia's phage therapy that was already taught as cured has cured so 12k and treatable infections since 2020 and seems to be have like a good rise. So everyone invested in prevention saves 40 in future healthcare. So I think these videos make you gain insights. I expect it was enough to make you gain insights. But prior to that, obviously, so it's something to understand that it's a problem that you have. It's a bit more deep than just like putting it like looking for mental models and basing and using mental models to create solutions based so in what they tend to say that's something that's good so to exist. It's a bit more difficult to just doing that. It's have to be a plan that's more to be just integrated and just like not just not like seeing all type of patterns that exist in the world, and also by understanding it, you just like create a bunch of actions. So we have to be more efficient. It's important to be efficient. It's important to understand how to attack because you don't have enough resources to put and test every idea that you have. That's why so you have to be prior to just going for the creativity and creating new ideas. You need to first understand better as much as possible the problem is where so a lot of people defend that you should spend more your time. You should spend more your time in understanding, stating the problem, gathering that, and then just so you have the rest of the time in creating solutions. Because if you understand first really good the problem that you're facing, you know so where do you attack, where is the bottleneck that has more effect, has more like impact the type of actions that you can create. And so the antibiotic resistance is something that is not escaped from these rules, so you need to understand better what in reality is antibiotic resistance, what creates it, what's like the main drivers, and then attack it always first in that. Understand that normally you're attacking in an economy that you have elements that act in a certain way that so creates your problem, and the reality is that you have to work with incentives. You just have to understand it because if you basically a problem is when so we have a specific flow actions that leads us towards specific consequence. And then so basically you just have to handle this type of actions to not exist or to behave in different ways. So you kind of require for people to act in different ways. And then so it's something that requires you to align incentives, to design, to create a system that motivates people to act in certain ways. That's why taxes are so created and applied, and so we can go on. But then, so I expect these videos make you gain insights. I expect it was enough to like the channel, to subscribe, and I can just have I can just say thank you and see you in the next one.